All right, everybody, welcome back here to the channel. We're talking about a trio of AI stocks in the video: TeraWulf, Cipher Digital, and IREN. All three look really interesting right now, especially after the big AI crash or AI correction. A lot of these big names came down 50+%. Now, each one of these stocks a little bit different than the other in terms of where they are. We're going to kind of take some time and go through each and all of these in this video, give you guys some analysis on the charts, also kind of talk more about fundamentals and things that matter in that regard as well. And we're going to start with TeraWulf. So it's ticker WULF. That is ticker Wolf. And I believe this is the smallest of the three. Yeah, it's at a $8.58 billion market cap with a B. And the structure here honestly really wasn't broken. The dip that we saw back in 2024 on Wolf was actually way worse than the recent one we just saw. And this thing has been on a just massive tear uptrend since it bottomed out in 2023. But it's also the one of the three that doesn't get talked about as much. And if we look here on the weekly, things are starting to look a lot better here for TeraWulf, starting to kind of, show some early signs of a bottom signal. If we go zoom in on the daily here, you could start to see we're starting to see some consolidation, right? If we can really break out of this range at like 19, 20, that would really be a good sign. But I love this play long term. I think TeraWulf is the one that kind of gets forgotten about the most. If you look at what some of the analysts are saying, 1 year price target of $37.11. It's trading at $17 right now. That's 116% return. And all three of these stocks that we're going to go through, TeraWulf, we'll go through Cipher, we'll go through IREN. They're all still really interesting because they all primarily started as Bitcoin mining companies. But now they're transforming into AI data center, high performance computing infrastructure companies. And the common denominator between the three isn't really Bitcoin, it's large amounts of secured electricity. And each company already controls many of the ingredients needed for AI infrastructure. They've got large power agreements, they've got land near electrical substations, they've got data center campuses. And so that's why we're talking about all three here. Let's jump into Cipher here. I don't want to get too long-winded there with my analysis just on how they all kind of coexist. We'll get more to that later. But Cipher also looks really interesting here on the weekly. This was kind of our bottom back in mid-July, our bottom in early August. We're bouncing off of that, just last week, we're bouncing up a little bit. And if you go into the daily, you can start to see, again, forming some nice consolidation. We certainly had a little bit of a pullback, right? We were up here at like $30, and we gave about 50% back. We went from 30 all the way down to, $16, basically, So we had a really nice steep correction on a lot of these names. And Cipher here, again, 1 year price target of 32.17, basically getting back up and beyond where we just were in June. And I still think this is a phenomenal buy the dip opportunity on Cipher. If we go zoom out on the monthly, I mean, this stock has been a beast. We were getting the pullback here from the local top side that we got up to around $31. Certainly we could see some steeper corrections if we have some black swan events or, anything that hurts the overall market at large. But I think the pullback we got the 50% correction on a lot of these names. I think, that was enough. And I think a lot of these names are going to snap back if we get into a good market environment. Again, anything can happen. You can get into a black swan and then everything comes down, right? Especially the, tech names or AI names. That's going to happen. But the market cap here, $7.42 billion on Cipher. So it's actually a little bit smaller than TeraWulf. I did not realize that. But I like this one as well. I think the setup on TeraWulf is a little bit better. just because you got a little bit more runway back up to the top side, about a 61% return, and structurally just looking a little bit better on the daily. You know, if you look here, still a nice 70% return to the upside. But if we go back to the, actually, let's go back to the daily. That'll make more sense here. If you go back to the daily, it looks a little bit more bearish on the daily, right? It looks like we can give some back. We're creating a little bit lower lows, not by much, but by a little bit there on Cipher. I still like them a lot, but I would say TeraWulf is a little bit better of a setup right here in the near to short term, in my opinion. Year to date, TeraWulf up 46%. Year to date, Cipher up about 20%. Now, the one that most people are probably most interested on is IREN. IREN up 12% year to date. It's the largest of the three market cap wise, $15 billion market cap. And I didn't include Nibius in this. Nibius, I'm going to do something separate with. A lot of people like to compare IREN and Nibius, but Nibius gapped up today on earnings, or actually, no, it gapped up on a short squeeze, actually. Michael Burry had a short on it. But IREN's starting to look a little bit better here too. Both technically, I mean, the analysts, you know, 1 year price target, $84. It's a 94% return. But the technicals are starting to look a lot better on IREN. We got the close today, finally. We got the close that we needed above some crucial levels here. This has been pesky, man. Getting it up here and closing above 42 is big today. We have not been able to do it. It's been like really rough. We've been coming up near it. We wick up, couldn't close above it. So in order to fill this gap here, you know, we could see it run to 60, 62. It wouldn't shock me from these levels. You know, you're looking at about a 42% return then, you know, on this. But CoreWeave had earnings as well. And so IREN stock rose about 7.5% in the pre-market session early this morning after a series of good news in the neo cloud industry. It jumped up to $43, up nearly 50% from its lowest level on June 29th. So again, had its 50% decline, you know, and it's bounced up 50%. IREN stock jumps after positive neo cloud news. IREN, a top company in the neo cloud industry, has jumped this week after some notable news in the industry. First, NVIDIA, top shareholder, has inked a $500 billion deal with top companies like BlackRock and Blackstone to finance companies in the AI sector. This deal converts NVIDIA's chips into the new asset class, a move that will benefit IREN, a company that requires billions of dollars to actualize its AI ambitions. And so, you know, I still own some of these names personally. You know, I have a fairly large position still in IREN, right around $40. So I'm, you know, a little up on the position. I'm looking to maybe potentially even add some more here on an individual position. This is decent for me. I like to play a lot of the ETFs, to be honest. I don't go into a ton of individual stocks unless I see, you know, really some nice upside. But there are some difference between the three. You know, IREN is a little bit different. They're building AI cloud services and data centers, their own, so it can own GPUs and sell computing directly, basically, in addition to offering the infrastructure, which I think separates them a little bit. Whereas Cipher, they're developing hyperscale AI data centers and essentially like leasing them to major customers, but they've got some huge contracts like Google, Amazon Web Service is another one. And then TeraWulf, they're leasing AI-ready data center capacity through contracts as well. So they got a couple big ones, one with Anthropic. So all three of these companies, man, I could see having exposure to all three of them. And it's a nice little trio. I wish there were an ETF where you can get exposure to all three of these. There might be. Let me know in the comments if there is, actually. I just thought about that stream of consciousness. But I like all three of these stocks right now after the big pullback. And I'm going to be looking to add some of these to the portfolio. So I wanted to make a video about it. And yeah, hopefully you guys got some value here. Let me know your thoughts down below. Make sure you do subscribe if you like the content. And yeah, we'll see you in the next video.